It was a warm August night in 2007. Manling Tsang Williams raised a heavy samurai sword high above her sleeping husband Neil. In a savage motion, she brought it crashing down. Not just one time, but over 90 times, slashing and stabbing him over and over. All after murdering her two small boys while they slept upstairs. Driven by a strong obsession for a man that did not want to continue their affair because she was married and had children. After murdering her family, believing she was free, she ran into the street screaming and pretending to be a devastated widow. But the truth would come out. A wife and mother who butchered her whole family, all so she could be free. Welcome to Trending Docket. This is Michelle. Don't forget to subscribe and let's get into it. This is the case of Manling Tsang Williams. It was a quiet night in August 2007 in Rowland Heights. Neil Williams, 27, had a passion for collecting samurai swords and rare books, was playing on the floor with his boys like he would most nights before their bedtime. He was a devoted husband and father. His 7-year-old son, Devin, was playing with him on the floor, talking about his latest drawing, and little Ian, just 3, was nearby playing with his trucks. Neil preferred nights like this, playing with his boys, over anything else. He would tell his boys all the time, quote, "You two are my whole world," end quote. Manling Tsang Williams was in the kitchen that night. She was merely a shadow in her own home. Outwardly, she was a devoted wife and mother, but deep down, Manling never wanted children. Beneath the surface, she was disconnected. She had been for months. Her marriage and her children felt like chains holding her back. The daily routine of packing lunches, bedtime stories, and the endless cycles of family life left her restless, moody, and trapped in a life she had never fully wanted. Weeks earlier, Manling went onto MySpace and reached out to an old high school flame, John Gregory. Their messages started off innocent enough, catching up, laughing about old times, but it quickly turned into something more. She talked about her unhappiness and wanting a divorce, and John made Manling feel alive again. She felt that spark, the one she was missing in her marriage. In June of 2007, 2 months before the murder, Manling and John met up with some friends for dinner. By July 2007, the affair had ignited into a secret, passionate affair that left her craving a different future. A future without her husband and children. Manling began to fantasize about freedom. No more obligations, no messy divorce, and no custody battles. Just her and the excitement of a new life. As she stood in the kitchen, watching Neil with the boys, Manling's thoughts grew darker, more calculated, especially because John had recently broken things off, telling her that he could not continue an affair with a married woman with kids. Later that night, Neil had gone to bed early. The boys were fast asleep in their bunk bed upstairs, and Manling was downstairs, her mind racing. Fueled by the obsession that consumed her every thought, she put a pair of latex gloves on, and in a single moment, nothing would ever be the same. It was just past midnight as Manling, gripping a pillow, walked upstairs where her 2 boys were fast asleep. The children's room was dark and still. Manling approached the lower bunk where Ian was sleeping. She pressed the pillow firmly down on his face and held that pillow over his mouth and nose until he no longer moved underneath, and then held it even longer to make sure he was dead. Then she went to the top bunk where Devin was sleeping. Manling put the pillow over his face and pushed down. Devin, being older, started to fight back and make noise. But poor Devin was not strong enough to stop his mom. She held that pillow there for several minutes after Devin stopped moving to make sure he was also dead. Manling then made her way back downstairs. Breathing hard, she entered the master bedroom. Holding the katana she had chosen from her husband's collection, she walked over to the bed where Neil was still sleeping. She raised the katana and brought it down onto Neil with a savage force. Neil's eyes flew open in shock and agony, and that started the frenzy. She sliced and stabbed him repeatedly. As Neil fought back thrashing, trying to defend himself, his hands grabbing at the blade. But it was no use. In the fight to survive, Neil managed to stagger out of bed, stumble toward the hallway trying to escape, yelling for help. Neil collapsed after multiple blows, and Manling continued to slash and stab at him until he was gone. When she was done, Neil had over 90 wounds on his body. The house fell silent. Manling stood amid the carnage for a moment. She then changed out of her bloody clothes, got rid of the evidence, and typed out a note to make it look like a murder-suicide, then slipped out of the house. When morning came, she returned home, started running around out front screaming, playing the role of a devastated wife and mother for her neighbors. She claimed she had left after an argument and came home to this nightmare. But the truth would eventually come to light, that Manling was anything but a grieving wife or mother. The scene was chaotic. Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputies arrived on the scene quickly. Manling was playing into her role of the devastated wife and mother out front still. She told the sheriff at the scene that she left around 11 p.m. because her and Neil got into an argument. She claimed she drove around all night due to her insomnia and returned that morning to discover her family was dead. She talked about some of the issues they were having in their marriage, but claimed that she knew nothing of what happened after she left the home. Detectives, led by Sergeant Donald Walls and others from the Homicide Bureau, weren't convinced of her story. The carnage didn't fit a simple intruder or murder-suicide. Neil was stabbed and slashed over 90 times, far too many for self-inflicted wounds, and the boy's suffocation showed a deliberate, time-consuming effort. It would have taken a person 5 to 10 minutes of pressure, not to mention no sign of forced entry, and nothing was stolen from the home. They did find the typed note attempting to frame Neil. In the note, it claimed he had killed the children and himself. But as the detectives continued to look around, they found evidence pointing to Manling. In her car, they found a pack of Camel Light cigarettes stained with Neil's blood, items she claimed to have bought that night at a 76 gas station. On her computer, it showed Manling had logged onto MySpace after the killings to check on John's profile before leaving the home to create her alibi. Manling was brought to the police station, where she cried and acted like she was in shock, all while repeating her story. The detectives confronted her that with bloody cigarette pack and the other evidence they had found in the home. Manling finally broke down and confessed in a recorded interview shortly after. Even with her confession, the investigation continued. Autopsies confirmed the timeline of the murders. The boys had eaten pineapple pizza earlier that evening with little digestion, placing their deaths soon after bedtime. Manling's latex gloves, the precise selection of the heaviest sword from Neil's collection, the methodical smothering of the boys, and the frenzy attached on Neil, all pointed to a cold, calculated murders, not sudden rage. Digital evidence also uncovered months of messages with her old high school flame. Manling had even told some of her friends that she was having nightmares of Neil killing the kids and himself, planting the seeds for her cover story. By August 10th, just 2 days after the murders, Manling was formally charged with 3 counts for first-degree murder, including specialized circumstances for multiple murders and lying in wait. Her motive, according to prosecutors, she wanted the freedom to pursue her relationship with John without any obligations. Manling went to trial in 2010, and by late 2010, it came to an end. After weeks of graphic testimony, the jury delivered a verdict: guilty on all charges. Neil's family sobbed, and Manling showed little reaction. During the first penalty phase, it ended in deadlock. 8 jurors wanted the death penalty, but not all of them could agree, so a second jury was chosen. On August 9th, 2011, the second jury returned its recommendation: death. Months later, on January 19th, 2012, Manling Tsang Williams stood in front of Judge Robert Martinez. This time, she sobbed quietly as the judge gave the final ruling. "It is the order of the court that you should suffer the penalty of death." Manling was led away in shackles to join California's death row, where she is still to this day. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, and like. If you have a case you want me to cover, please leave it below. Until next time, stay safe and stay curious.